Hello and welcome. My name is April and I'm with Sacred Roots and Visionscapes, and today we are going to be talking about seed starting. Seeding 101 for our vegetables, flower transplants. And so you'll need three things to get started today with your seeds. You're going to need growing medium or soil. You're going to need some sort of tray or pot to put it in, and then you're going to need seeds. So we'll talk a little bit more about these and exactly what we're looking for. So the first thing is we need soil. So I'll show you my favorite soil medium to start with for seeds. So if you're in Michigan, you may be familiar with Morgan Composting or Dairy View. So this is a Seed Starter 101. Okay, another good option is going to be something that you can get at this grocery store here in Michigan. Is going to be your Pro Mix HP, and that's it. Comes in a bag or a big block. Both really good options. And so if these are not available where you are, I know it was a little bit more difficult when I was in Florida to find grocery stores that wasn't really available. You can get these online. The other option, if you do end up going to like a big box store and looking for these soil mixes, I did find a germination mix at Walmart when I was in Florida, so it exists somewhere. But the rule of thumb when it comes to seeding is that you want to make sure you have a soil that does not have fertilizer in it. So the Miracle Grows are typically intended for mature plants, and so that will actually, if you use that same mix, that will actually kill your seeds. You will not get any germination. So if you do get a Miracle Grow or something like that, make sure that what you're getting is either intended for seeding or germination or does not have any fertilizer in it. Now, like my Dairy Dew over here, if you're familiar, Dairy Dew or Morgan Composting, they create compost, so that is a fertilizer. So, but because this mix, the seeding mix, is intended for germination, they have only added the amount of compost or fertilizer that seeds can tolerate, which is a very low amount. So I would go with that rule of thumb. Unless it's intended for germination or seeding, make sure it doesn't have any fertilizer in it. So both of the products I showed you are either at a low dose fertilizer or there's no fertilizer in it. Great, so now that we've talked about soil and we know what our medium is, our growing medium, now we'll move on to talk about seed trays or pots. So there's lots of things that people are using now. You could try some of these. So they have, people are planting in eggshells, egg cartons, peat pots. They have a little device that you can make pots out of newspaper, and those are okay if you're not doing a long-term transplant. I found with some of those, if I'm doing like a 30-day transplant, like the peppers I'm going to be seeding today, those things don't really last as long, but they can really work well for short-term things like beans or peas, things that are going to go out in the garden right away. So what I'm going to be using today is a 128 tray, and these can be purchased at a local grocery store if that's available. They can also be purchased online. Of course, Amazon has everything, but there's also Greenhouse Megastore is an online store for growers. That's pretty nice. So I'm going to be seeding in a 128, but that's probably not, if you're starting your first time vegetable garden at home, what you're going to use. So if you're starting at home, you're probably going to want to work with something like this. These 4-cell trays that you're usually buying from the retail garden center, and you're going to be using an open tray like this, and then you're going to be starting to fill it with those 4 cells. So probably if you're buying this at the store, it may just come all in one. If you are buying it separate, just make sure this open cell has these holes in it, because some do not, and that's going to be collecting too much water. So probably the best recommendation to start at home is going to be this 4-cell tray. Now, this is actually what I'm going to be selling my transplants as once they are grown up. So it'd be great if I had a heated greenhouse space. I would love to start everything in these, but because I'm starting these indoors, under shelves, or in a tent, I really need to maximize my space and condense them until I can get them out into a bigger space. So 4-cell tray is probably going to be the best recommendation for you if you are starting this at home. Okay, so now that we have our soil, our trays, now let's talk about seeds, okay? Our third component. So you want to make sure you have high quality seeds. You can get seeds from the big box store, especially if you're just starting out. That may be a good place to start. The quality is pretty good. As a professional grower, I actually do not buy them from the big box stores. I work with a seed company called Fedco, and some of the other local organic farmers in the area might order from companies like Johnny's. Here in Michigan, we have Annie's Seeds, which is an heirloom company. And so these are all good options. I go with Fedco because as a professional grower, I want really high quality. Right on the seed pack, it tells me the germination rate, which helps me decide my seeding rate. And then also it's a cooperative of farmers, so I like supporting that as well. So you want to buy new seeds. All right, you can save seeds from, like, let's say last year, I did save seeds from last year. I seeded, I had some extra seeds, and I can save them, but, that's a big but, if you're not storing them properly, they will not be good the following year. So if you did not save your seed in proper storage from last year, you want to throw that out. Okay, so what is proper storage? Proper storage of seeds is going to be exactly opposite of what you want for growth. So for growth, we want warmth, we want moist, and we want light. Okay, so for seed storage, the opposite of that, we want cool, we want dark, we want dry. So what I do to provide that is I take my seeds, I put them in Ziploc bags, and then I seal it. I double Ziploc it, so I do 2 Ziplocs to really make sure they stay dry. And then I store them in the fridge, which is cool, and for the most part is dark, except for when I open the doors. You could go a step further and put it in a black bag or something like that, and that would provide all those components. But keeping it dry and cool and mostly dark is going to do the job. And so I've been doing this, and my seeding rates have been really well. Most seeds will store properly, and you will be able to get a second year and save them, except for one family in particular. The onion family, you always want to buy new seeds because their germination rates really go down from year to year. So those seeds, I'll use them. I'll only order as much as I need this year, and then whatever I have left, I'm going to throw them out because next year they're not going to be very good germination rate. So that covers all 3 of what we need: our soil, our pots or flats, and number 3, our seeds. So now we have all the things we need. Now let's get started. So the first thing we are going to want to start doing is we're going to want to get our soil moist. And you'll notice that I have this nice bin. It's just a regular bin. And when we get these mixes, the soil is oftentimes very dry. And that's on purpose because it makes it a lot lighter. So I'm going to use my bin. I'm going to fill it with my soil. And just about this whole thing, this is an 18-gallon. I filled this all the way up, mixed my soil, and I got about 10 of these trays. So that would be about 5 to 8 of your 4-cell packs. So I'm only going to be doing this 1 tray today, so I'm only going to need to fill a little bit. So it'll depend on how much you need, but I'm going to pour my soil in here, my dry soil, and then I'm going to moisten it. And you want to wear a mask usually when you're doing this because when the soil is dry, those particulates can be very, very irritating. I wear a mask when I'm doing this, so I highly recommend it. And so you'll be surprised. The soil is really dry. It really takes a lot of water to moisten it. I've already pre-moistened this for you guys, but I want to show you what that's going to look like, a properly moistened. So you can see a good way, a rule of thumb is if I squeeze my soil and it stays together, see how that stays together, then it's moist enough. If I squeeze my soil and let's say it just starts to crumble away and doesn't hold together in that form, then you know you have to moisten it more. And so